Okay. Yeah, just before we get too far for the recording, I guess I'm just noting that it's 6:35, 34, and we don't have quorum quite yet, so we can just have an informal conversation. If we get to quorum, we can go back to the agenda in order. So how do you want to do this?
I don't know.
I can kind of go in the order of the agenda if we want to just chat.
Probably just chat. I mean,
okay.
Nothing's formal anyway, so we
can't
do much.
Yeah, so we can't do anything with minutes, so we can table those until.
Can't even table them technically.
Can't even table them. We just ignore them.
Ignore them.
until the next meeting. Under new business, I just included. I'm hoping we scan these and sent them out, but we're working on getting our certification through the Sustainable CT program, and one of the items for credit for points is a section called Develop an Open Space Plan, and a lot of the stuff we're working on and doing the inventory and moving towards funding and all that, we can earn points for this. So we're actually actively working on this right now using some of the work we've already done.
Okay.
So it's just, I really just wanted to send it out so people could read it over.
I don't think I got it. I don't know, man.
I think it might have been, I think it was in the scans for the packet, but if it wasn't, let me know and I'll.
Packet?
Well, the meeting packet. Lona usually.
The mail?
Did it come in the mail?
No.
oh no, because I just gotten back from vacation, so we'd show everything was emailed on Tuesday. So it would have been probably a Tuesday email for you.
Yeah, I must have missed it.
Okay, but anyway, just read it over, and we can pick up discussion with it at maybe the next meeting. But we've been going through. One of them is we have an open space map, sort of the one we're working off of for our field work, but this has specific to get the points that we need to do an open space inventory. It includes some mapping, and it's not just city-owned open space. It's all the other conservation easements, property owned by state, local, federal government, water company land. So we got to get an overall map done, and Dave Scherf's working on it. So we will have that for our use too. So, I think he kind of just started working on that we have an intern that's helping him with, that's helping us out with this program. So, they were meeting this afternoon as I came down here. But this is, like I said, in everybody's packet. So read it over just to familiarize yourself. And if there's any.
What's the advantage of going with that program?
So there's a couple of levels of, you have to earn a certain amount of points to get like a bronze designation, another level of points to get a silver designation. When we apply for many types of state funding now, you kind of get a bonus look if you're a sustainable CT.
You get bonus points
if you're a sustainable CT community.
Okay. So if you apply for economic development grant of some type,
they're going to look more favorably on cities and towns that have their sustainable CT designation versus those who don't. So,
good reason to do it. So
we, at this point, just picking like what I call low hanging fruit, things that we've already taken actions for. We need 200 points total for a bronze designation, and we have, if we get all the credit we're asking for, it's 120 right now. And that's just stuff we've already through the course of our regular work have taken actions on. Just an example, just getting this map done gets us 10 points. Just having Dave do our map. So there's different actions and activities like that you undertake just to, gain points. Mm-hmm. So, that was a quick update on that. We can just have everybody read it over and pick up discussion next meeting. Sure. So
Hey, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What's included in the map? Is it just do we have state parks, city lands? What's included?
So it
What's
does,
being reviewed?
they kind of provided a list here. It's protected ag lands, open space protected by conservation easements, open space owned by local, state, or federal governments. So that would include like state forest parks, all that kind of thing. Water company owned open space, protected drinking water, watershed lands, land trust protected open space. And that's it. That's the list they gave. So it's a pretty good chunk of property.
Do you have a total? What that totals to?
No, so that's what we're working on now is mapping all that out, because we have some of that on mapping that already exists, and some of it is on separate mapping, and some we don't have mapped at all. So that's what Dave in our engineering department's working on now, and he should be able to break down those into categories of acreage and then maybe a total.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. So that kind of jumps us into the review of the memo. Let me give. I'm just going to give Dan one while I'm here.
Thank you.
So admittedly, I haven't had a ton of time to work on this with staff transitions and everything. But I did on the very last page, I did update a couple of these since the ones were sent out on Tuesday. But there was a list of questions and answers that were really the main questions that came out of December's meeting. What I did notice is there was a new posting for all of the responses from Silicon Ranch to the questions that the siting council had. I haven't had time to look at that because it just came in a couple days ago. So I'm obviously going to have to go back again and revamp this memo based on their answers. So I don't think I have a lot to add. I did get some comments from Tom Kalinowski from our commission that I'll build in to our comments, but I think we ought to take a look at Silicon Ranch's answers to really move forward with the memo at this point. And I guess we don't have quorum to actually make a motion to move it at this point. Because we pushed this meeting off a little bit this month, we do have a pretty quick turnaround, and it looks like we got quorum. Hang on one sec before I move on. Christine, you there?
Maybe not.
There she is. Hello.
Okay.
So you just made quorum. Can you hear me?
Oh, I just hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I just said you just made quorum.
Okay, good. Thank you for texting me, Michael. I got absorbed in tech difficulties for one of my children.
I will. I'm going to turn it over to you then.
Okay, turn it over to me.
So all we've done so far is I guess we can go back to the minutes, but all I've done was described the sustainable CT stuff that I sent just to ask people to look it over maybe for the next meeting to discuss.
Okay.
Because we're in the middle of working on it now, and I just started talking about the draft document. So I don't know if you want to step back and do the minutes and then.
Okay, yeah, why don't we do that? So we have the December 9th minutes for approval. We need a motion.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay.
Okay.
So now we're on to the review of the draft Conservation Commission comments. Is that where we are?
Yes. So I actually just started about a minute ago on it. So I haven't had a ton of time to work on it with all the staff changes in our office, but I did on the back page, the very last page, I got the major questions and answers that we had that I could answer from the last meeting. I did update those today. But what I was just saying when you signed on was the Silicon Ranch filed their answers to all the questions from the Siting Council on the 18th. So I haven't had a chance to look those over yet to actually build them into the memo.
Okay.
The changes that I made today to the questions and answers was I did reach out to the fire department on our questions about firefighting, concerns or anything. And I'm back and forth. I've kind of been back and forth with Tom, our sanitarian from the health district, and he has not been looped in, and he thinks he should be on the project.
Okay.
So I have to follow up with him as well. The decommissioning, I made some notes that the decommissioning plan is part of the record, but I don't see anything about any bonding requirements. So the stormwater, the big one was the DNM and stormwater management plan review, and I'm assuming that some of those responses might be in the documents from the 18th. I just haven't had a chance to look at them yet.
Okay.
So, and Tom, the other thing was Tom Kalinowski sent me a short email with some comments. One had to do with, so his first comment had to do with some natural plantings around the fencing especially along the roadside, views from the road, which I think we discussed a little in the last meeting. Cooperation on a potential, the potential easement, conservation open space donation, protection of habitats for the field, the savanna sparrows and the other field nesting birds as much as possible. And Tom had some comments. They were in their decommissioning plan. They called for the mounting plates to just be cut below the ground level. And he said they should, which I agree with, they should be removed completely if they were ever to be decommissioned. So I'll build those in. I just got those. He sent them before I went on vacation, and I kind of just got a chance to look at them. So. So our next meeting is actually scheduled for the 10th, and I can do all that review and get that set for the 10th.
Okay. All right. So that's all that we have on them.
Yeah. So I read the whole memo in last time, and there really isn't, there isn't really language changes. I did make notes on where to put Tom's comments, and I'll make sure to build those in. I may, once I read that document, I may have some additional comments depending on what they had to say.
Okay.
And Christine, I can call you to discuss if anything looks.
How big is that document? Can you send it to me?
I sent the link.
Okay.
I sent the link. No, I sent the link to the whole.
It was like beginning of January.
Yeah, there was a link to go to the whole
the portal
application. Yeah, it's way down at the bottom. It's like the last document on the page.
Okay.
I linked the actual page where all the documents are posted.
Got it.
On the Siting Council site.
We're looking at the 11822 report.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably get a look at it early next week so I can have some time to read through it.
Okay. All right. So then our next old business is continued discussions. Can we vote in discussion on, I mean, this is food forest, but the food forest grant?
So I'm thinking we don't have to because that first item says possible project locations and funding.
Oh, okay. So we're good.
I think we're covered to just discuss it under that item.
Right. So that's where we are at. Possible project locations and funding. So do you want to bring us all up to speed, Michael?
Sure. So Cynthia told me that if we have any questions, we can call her up right now. I guess she's at home and she's available, but the deadline of the particular grant that we're looking at right now is the end of the month, and the sooner the better that we could give her a simple letter of support saying that the Conservation Commission supports this, because technically the Conservation District is the one applying for the grant and we would be partnering with them.
Yep.
Okay.
So did you just a question, if you don't mind, I just have a quick question. Is there specifics on the app as to what she's applying for, or is it just a general application for a type of work?
It is pretty general, but it's regarding trees and shrubs. So I think actually it might just be trees, but
okay.
Cynthia's thinking like, oh, go ahead.
Shrubs. It says like raspberry bushes.
Okay. Yeah. So
okay, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
so
just for my own knowledge for when we put a letter together.
Yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, I mean, I think they'll be fairly simple because it's maybe the first of more to come. So Cynthia didn't want to take on more than we could handle. So she's thinking of maybe three small plantings around the city once we find appropriate places for a few trees here, a few trees there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So it's not tied to a particular site.
Well,
right.
She's mentioned also that Winchester, town of Winchester would also be involved.
Okay.
And that I guess Brooker Memorial has agreed that they would be part of it as well.
Okay.
Yep.
So where's this information coming from? Can we back up and did she send something specific?
Yeah, I don't know what all got circulated, so I guess I can forward everything I have just in case you didn't get that one. But like I said, there's nothing, set in stone in terms of like what trees or what the design will look like. It's a rough overview of the type of plantings we're looking for and the scale, I think,
Yep. Yeah, so if we have some leeway to choose sites and design, then I think that's great.
So there was a letter that it's a sample letter that Cynthia had sent around that needed to be on the letterhead and signed by me. Is that something that I could come in and do tomorrow?
Here at City Hall?
Yeah, it's gonna be a letter.
Yeah. Yeah. You talking about here coming into our office at City Hall?
Yes. Yeah, City Hall.
Yeah, we're here. Yeah, you can stop in the morning. Yep. I should be in the office all morning.
Okay.
One thing I had
just pull because that won't pick you up.
Oh, okay. One thing I had problem with was the letter refers to partnering with the Conservation District, and that's pretty strong. I don't know what. It's almost like you're co-equals, and I don't see how that would work. I think it would have to be specifically say something to the effect that we would cooperate with or cooperate with the Conservation District, that the Conservation Commission would cooperate, because you can't commit the city to cooperating with the Conservation District. You can't commit the whole city.
So the district would be the grant administrator.
Yeah. And it does, as far as I know, there's no specification as to what the conservation district's role would be in this.
Yeah.
So I think if you keep it sort of
Well,
loosey-goosey and say, you know, we'll cooperate with them. The Conservation Commission will cooperate with the Conservation District.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what the money is, how many trees they're talking about, how long. And it's, you know, it's just, you can't commit the city to this.
Would Cynthia be able to just send us a copy when she's ready to submit? Just send us a copy of the grant application.
Yeah, I mean, I think she told me that it's almost all pretty much finished at this point. So maybe we could, hopefully in the next day or two, we could get that in front of her.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. And then it'll give us a little more idea of what.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you keep it, cooperate with them, it's loose, a little more loose. We'll work with them, cooperate. It doesn't tie us. Yeah. We'll do this, that, and the other thing.
So it basically, the change that you're asking for, and this is just a sample letter anyway,
right,
is in the first paragraph where it says the city, town, or organization name. So we would be saying the Conservation Commission for the City of Torrington will cooperate in assisting or will assist the Northwest Conservation District with the project outlined in detail in the grant application.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's pretty minor.
Yeah, it's again, it's keeping it pretty loose.
So I think in a lot of the grant applications I've come across, it asks specifically for who are your partners on the project. I think they use that term on the grant applications.
Yeah, but I mean, what the partner usually implies, you're putting up money, you're putting up, you know, staff time.
Well, we are putting up land, right?
Putting up staff time.
But are you?
Really? I mean, sort of.
We're putting up a location. We might be putting up the upkeep.
Yeah.
That's a good point you make though, Dan. And Cynthia had asked me to also reach out to some community organizations. So I reached out to some churches and community groups because she also wanted letters from them, as it though, you know, by attaching all of these different letters of support, it makes it more attractive. And so I don't, you know, we're basically on par with a church in this. So we're not saying like, and actually, if that, I don't know if that makes sense, but what I mean is that we're not bound to put up money or, you know, follow the directions of the conservation district, at least. I mean,
partners, I think, stronger. As I said, I like loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
Make sure it's just the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, right. I think that's also, true.
You might also want to have the senior center, because they control Bowman Gardens, which is the gardens up there. The senior citizens have plots up there.
Yeah, we toured Bowman when we were looking at the property ideas.
Yeah, and but the land trust owns it, but the senior center manages it.
Yep.
So they would be a good one, because they'd probably be a good site to put something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was Cynthia speaking specifically about it being downtown, or was that?
Well, at first she, you know, since this is classified or designated as a urban agriculture grant, she had some concern that we should make this as accessible to the population center of the city as we can.
Yeah.
I agree with that on principle. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. I mean, ideally, I think so. I mean, there are small issues about like the land isn't as, you know, there's better agricultural land or healthier soil the farther you get away from, you know, industry and downtown mess. But still, that doesn't mean you can't, you know, bring in good soil. But I also brought up the point that even if, say, this was up at Bowman Gardens, you know, that is pretty far of a hike from downtown. But I think this can still qualify, because the whole municipality is a city, and the produce that comes from these plantings should go. I mean, we can have a conversation about who gets the food, but it's meant to be addressing food insecurity, and poverty.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, the initial food forest, I think, that we have, which is, on University Drive, was kind of a experimental.
A test plot.
Yeah, it was kind of like a little test plot, but the thing that always irked me about it was in a place that who's going to know about it and who can access it. So, I think it's fine for what it is, but if this is something we're expanding on, they need to be accessible, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I know we've inventoried a few parcels closer to downtown that would work well.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so as far as this goes, it's the only thing that we need to do is get the letter on a letterhead and have me sign it tomorrow. Yes. And
change the wording from partner to
cooperate in.
Do we have a motion to do that too?
To
send the letter would probably be appropriate.
I think we can make a motion in general to send a letter of support.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah.
Send a letter of support.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
Like Tom?
Yeah, are we referring to the letter regarding the solar project or the?
No, this is a letter regarding the food forests.
Okay. Yep. Aye.
Okay. Aye. So we have a motion and second, and it carries.
So Tom, I did just briefly say that a new response came in on the 18th from Silicon Ranch to all the questions that the siting council had, and I haven't really had a chance to look at it. So I'm gonna have to. I built in I kind of know how I'm gonna build in your comments from your email, but I still have to review all the. We got to get a look at that before we can finalize our memo.
Got it. That's okay. Yeah,
we have a turnaround for the 10th, so it's not that far off for the next meeting.
Okay, I'll take a look at it as well to see if I've got anything that I can spot there too. If you need the assistance as well.
I just haven't had a chance to look at it. It's been a busy week.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Before we move on, I got a little sidetracked in my head. Who made that motion and seconded?
Dan made the motion. Michael seconded.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next thing for discussion is the Leone property acquisition progress update.
Got good news. We own it.
Oh, nice.
Finalized today. So, or was it today? Yeah, it's this afternoon. Everything was filed this afternoon. So we officially own it. Now the next step is to figure out what to do with it.
It's a good problem.
So a good portion of it is wetland and marsh, but we have the old trolley bed, and we actually, before we finalized, we had them come in about 3 or 4 weeks ago because there was still a whole bunch of garbage on the property, and they went in and had it cleaned out. I think they were really motivated to get rid of the property. So they got in and got it cleaned out in like 2 days after we had kind of walked through it and looked at it. So, yep, everything's official on it. I think, the next step's probably looking at developing some sort of a loop trail that goes around from, what are the two roads there? Machuga and what's the other one? Harris. Yeah. Yep. So, I guess we can further talk about that as we go along here, but yeah, finalized as of today.
Great.
Great, congratulations to us.
Good news.
That was
Our
quick.
property wall.
account's empty. What's that, Tom?
I said, so when's our first property walk?
Yeah, we should put one together. It's
I mean, I did one, I think years ago with Kim.
it's a
trying to get
challenge
that.
up, but once the you know the trolley bed kind of just disappears and you're in scrub to get over to right now to get over to Harris. But there is some neat old like little concrete bridges and stuff still kind of left out there with all the stuff growing all over it. But we definitely had a nice little challenge bushwhacking through the last part of it. But yeah, yep.
Okay, so then our next order of business is our open space inventory update.
So that kind of dovetails with this sustainable CT information that I sent out earlier in the week. It is one of our opportunities to get points towards our certification for sustainable CT. They have specific requirements for mapping. Tom, I think Tom might have missed it right at the beginning, but they have specific requirements for what they want to see on a map to get the points for it. And we have an intern that's actually working on this for us. And he's been sitting down with Dave Scherf in our engineering office he does all of our GIS stuff to start putting that map together. So they're working on it now. We still have to, continue with our inventories, but I guess we'll keep slowly moving through that. But we should have, I'm thinking maybe if not the February meeting, by the March meeting, we should have a draft map for us to look at for the open space mapping.
That's great. Okay.
So Jeremy, I know last meeting, I think you had mentioned putting together some sort of calendar where we could all sign up for time slots, or do we want to hold that off until we get the new information?
Yeah, I think we can still do that. We can still do the site. I think the next site walk we were going to do was a kind of a everybody combined kind of thing, because it was
one of the bigger ones, right?
It's not huge, but it's like 12, 15 acres, something like that. So it's big enough where we could all go out and do it. It's I forgot the name of the subdivision, but it's off of Greenwoods Road, uphill from the industrial park. So it has a couple of loop.
Cinnamon Ridge?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. So it's all the open space from that subdivision. There's from what I could see, there's at least a couple of public access points there. So small ones.
Okay.
I will, I can just send an email out to try to set that up. We're gonna have some staff turnover. So
who else is leaving?
there's going to be somebody else doing this.
Oh, okay.
Sooner rather than later, hopefully. So I may be handing some of this off, but I can schedule it for now and just see what happens. And if we get a nice day in the next month and we can actually access the property, we can do it.
Okay. All right. So the Trails Grant and City Trails Greenway Development update.
We don't have an update on that yet. I think they're still reviewing applications. So they're moving at the pace they move at, I guess is the nice way to say it, at deep reviewing the applications. So.
And then our city open space plan progress, funding and development.
Yeah, I mean, I probably should have put those things right back to back, but same thing, sustainable. It's part of the sustainable CT items that we need to work on. It's something else we need to look at funding for. But I think we need to get to a point where we can start putting a plan together.
Okay. All right, so it looks like, do you have no communications?
No, the only thing that was sort of new, but it was on the agenda, was the sustainable CT items. Well, not sure who was here when I first mentioned it, but I kind of sent that out figuring everybody could look it over and we could follow up with ideas or discussions on how to obtain our prime amount of points for the open space park for our full application that I hope to turn in by like April, because April's the deadline for certificate. They do rolling certifications twice a year, but April is the deadline that I really want to hit for the bronze certification.
When did you send out? Did you send it out or did Lona send out?
Lona sent it out on Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the first things I did when I got back in the office. We needed to get that agenda posted when I got back in from vacation.
Ah, I see it. Okay, got it. Okay. All right, and so we are at adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, that's Dan. Do we have a second? Con seconded it. I lip read it. And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, so motion carries.
All right, thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow, Jeremy.
Yeah,
That was a little late.
I'll follow up with some scheduling emails for everything else too.
Okay. Have a good one, everybody. Michael, thank you for the text.